What's going on, guys? Afflicted Gamer here, back with another Division video. So it is Friday, which means that the vendors have reset, and I will be going from place to place, DZ checkpoint to find the best items for this week in the Division. Now, if the video is helpful in any way, shape, or form, please go ahead and drop it a like. I do appreciate it, and it helps me out a lot. And if you are new to the channel, I hope you will consider subscribing for more Division content. The stream times for me to be live on YouTube are at the end of the video, and always don't forget you can follow me on Twitter at AfflictedGamer to stay in touch with me always. Now, I have made a fourth. Will ever have to double check the hub ever again. Everything that appears for me will from now on appear for you as well. So first up, we've got a SG12 Blueprint, classic M44 carbine. Actually, I may pick up that myself. We have firearms mask, stamina knee pads, quick release mag, and a angled grip with stability as the major attributes, performance gear mod, and then a power level 34 electronics gear mod. I would pick this up for sure, especially for those of you that are running skill builds like Tactician's Authority. I would grab those. Let's take a look at the exotics for the week at the special equipment vendor. First up is the Centurion with Expert and Toxic, 24.6k base damage. Remember that the base damage will vary depending on your firearms number versus mine. Liberator, 21% enemy armor damage with Competent, Swift, and Vicious. Hopefully anybody looking for Liberator picked up last week's. The Historian, 142% headshot damage with Cool-Headed, Toxic, and of course History Repeats. I'm going to say the same thing. Hopefully you grabbed last week's. Pecan, 13% damage to targets out of cover with Meticulous, Determined, and Pecan. No. Cassidy, for those of you that do run the double Cassidy, we got 344% stagger, Trained, Vicious, and Boomstick. Oh man. Alright, let's scroll through the rest. We've got an Aug here, 20% crit chance with Hurried, Adept, and Deadly. You could obviously re-roll off Adept for anything else. Destructive, Brutal, and you would have a decent Aug. This gear set, these pieces here, I'm going to skim over quickly, because honestly, gear drops everywhere in the Division. I will always say that. I think week to week it's so easy to get gear, and unless I see something absolutely perfect, I mean, this is a pretty good technical backpack, then I'm not really going to point out a lot of gear. But this one right here in particular is very, very nice. I would grab that, and let's just quickly go through the rest. But if I do find a piece of gear that is very good, holster 1200 numbers across the board, Savage gloves, anything like that, I will obviously still point it out. We got decent. No, we don't. You know what? This electronics mod is actually really good. 259 electronics with 3,297 skill power. Again, skill build players, I would pick this thing up for sure, especially if you don't have the blueprint and you can't afford it with Phoenix credits. I would grab that. 6.5% turret health, I'd pass, and these last few items. Alright, so that is it for downstairs in the hub. Let's move on. Okay, upstairs at the armory, there's a couple half-decent items here, especially if you're new to the Division. That's why I do point out a lot of the items that I show you guys. There's a lot of new players that have come to the game. PP19, 21.5% crit hit chance with Deadly, Meticulous, and Hurried. You could re-roll off Meticulous for Brutal, Destructive, anything of that sort. There's a decent PP19. And on top of that, there is a Model 700 Carbon, 157% headshot damage with Destructive, Adept, and Elevated. Again, you could re-roll off Adept, put in something like Deadly or especially Brutal if you're good with your landing your headshots, and you have a pretty decent Model 700 Carbon. You know what, I actually might pick this thing up myself. Here we go. Alright, let's keep going. Upstairs in the base of operations at the gear vendor, she has a Rehabilitated mask. I know a lot of people that actually use this mask. Now, the stamina number is terrible, but it does have skill power and damage to elites on it, which means you can either change the skill power to enemy armor damage, something of that sort, increase the skill power number and leave stamina where it is, or use the mask as is and change the stamina number into firearms electronics, or even raise it if you so choose to. So there you go. And we're going to keep going. Over to Camp Hudson at the gear vendor. First up, we have a pair of Savage gloves. 1260 stamina with shotgun damage, skill haste, and crit hit chance. So, now, if you're running strike or shotgun, what you could do is get rid of skill haste if you want to and put on crit damage, or get rid of shotgun damage and put anything else in its place, given that skill haste is a pretty good attribute. So you know what, I'm actually going to grab, apparently I don't have enough funds to purchase it. Okay, not on this character. New character that I made just for you guys. Now, there is also a prototype performance mod with 7.5% turret duration. Anybody running Firecrest builds, anything of that sort with the turret, that is useful. On top of that, if we move over here to the weapons vendor, he has a Rant Suppressor with 7% crit hit chance, 4% crit hit damage, and 6% headshot damage. So I do recommend that you do pick these up.
Until next time.
Cavern Safe House. Once again, we have a Inventive backpack. Now this one, again, 1128 stamina, which is horrible. And the major attribute of stability can go, but because it has ammo capacity, I figured I would point this out because you can re-roll stability for health or skill power, and you can compensate the low stamina number with mods or however else you position the rest of your gear. Either way, and especially if you're new to the game, backpacks like this will be extremely helpful.
No big deal.
Okay, over at the Wolves Den Safe House, this guy first up has a first wave vector 45 with 22.5% crit chance, unforgiving, accurate, and responsive. Clearly reroll off accurate for deadly, destructive, or brutal. And you know what, for those of you that still use the first wave vector, I would pick this one up. On top of that, we have a pretty good extended mag here with 119.5% mag size, 4% crit hit damage, and 3% crit hit chance. For sure, especially if you don't have the blueprint, pick up this extended magazine this week. Actually, grab yourself a few.
Just window shopping, I guess.
Alright, up at the Autumn's Hope Safe House. Again, we have a pair of Savage gloves. Now, grab these only if you're desperate. 1198 firearms, 5.5% crit hit chance, 5% health on kill, and pistol damage. Now, you could use these in PvE, get rid of pistol damage, and put that in place of whatever it is you're using, assault rifle damage, marksman rifle, LMG, anything of that sort, but you will have to compensate somewhere for that horrible firearms number. And again, only get these if you absolutely need it. On top of that, there is a prototype stamina mod, 253 stamina with 3% skill haste, so anybody trying to get their skill haste up for, say, a tactician build, anything of that sort, there is one here for sale. Down at the Ward Safe House, she has a pretty good Reckless chest piece, 1237 electronics with 10.5% EDR, which you could reroll that off if you want to keep the electronics roll as is. Over 16,000 health and 54% ammo capacity. This is a pretty decent Reckless chest piece. You could even keep the EDR and put the 1237 electronics into either firearms or stamina. So I would pick this up if you like Reckless.
Warning, now leaving the safe area.
Alright, at the 5th Ave DZ checkpoint, that is it for all of the safe houses. We have an MP7 with 20.5% crit hit chance, fierce, commanding, and dominant. Those of you that are running a skill build but also like to use SMGs, I figured that I would point this out. Savage gloves, 1169 firearms, yep, low again. 5% health on kill, pistol damage, crit hit chance. I would get rid of the pistol damage for something else, and honestly you could use them in PvE if you're absolutely desperate. If not, you know what, I would pass. And before somebody says anything about having no DZ funds, like I said, I literally rushed to get this character to level 30 just to do the vendor reset so we wouldn't miss any items. So, no need to drop that in the comments below. Let's keep going. At the West 31st Street DZ checkpoint, she has a much better rapid chest piece than the ones we've seen earlier. 1270 electronics, 16,652 health, which is almost a max roll, 7% skill haste, and 28% increased kill XP. I would pick this one up over all of the rest if you have the DZ funds. If not, the other ones are still there as an option. And there is also 6.5% Seeker Mine Explosion radius. You know what? I know a lot of people are iffy with this. Some like it, some don't. Just pointing that out. Let's keep going. At the West 39th Street DZ checkpoint, there is a Model 700 Tactical with 159% headshot damage, determined, destructive, and elevated. Now, you could obviously reroll off determined for deadly or especially brutal once again, so I thought I would point this out.
Don't make a habit of not.
At the West 53rd Street DZ checkpoint, she has two items for sale here. First up is a refresh mask with 1,198 stamina, which, yes, is on the low side, but I'm pointing it out because she does have over 9,000 skill power on it as the major attribute. The minor, you could obviously reroll off for damage to elites if you don't mind having that stamina number as is, or you could reroll the stamina number for something else and keep blind death resistance as the minor attribute. On top of that, there is a prototype stamina mod for sale, 262 stamina with 3,127 health. That is a very good stamina mod. So if you don't have the blueprint, once again, I say pick this up if you do have the DZ funds.
I'll be waiting when you're ready to deal from me.
At the East 40th Street DZ checkpoint, just some pretty good items for sale. First up, Tactical Aug A3P. Now the crit chance is a little on the low side with 18.5%, but there is deadly, responsive, and vicious on it. However, there's also a specialized backpack, 1135 stamina. That is low, but over 13,000 health as a major attribute, 52% ammo capacity. So all you have to do with this is either raise up the stamina number or swap it into firearms or electronics given what your build is, and you have a perfect specialized backpack.
You'll be back.
At the East 46th Street DZ checkpoint, there is an enhanced G36 with 18% enemy armor damage, which is not the highest, but it's not the worst. Responsive, brutal, and focused are on it. I would get rid of focused 100% for something like deadly, destructive, unforgiving, prepared, whatever it is you like, and a prototype performance mod with 7% support station range. So if you're running a build like, say, Reclaimer, then this is a pretty decent prototype performance mod for you. At the East 53rd Street DZ checkpoint, she has a pair of Savage gloves, 1195 electronics, which, yes, is quite low, but 4% health on kill, 8% skill haste, and 939 SMG damage. So you could either bump up the electronics number or move it into a different slot, and you would have a pretty decent pair of Savage gloves for PvE.
I'm sure you'll be back.
Up at the DZ06 safe room, she has a pretty decent Sentry Harness. 1143 firearms, which that is the only thing you need to change on it. Either make that number higher or put it into a different slot. 16,128 health, 9% skill haste, and 52% ammo capacity. So anybody that likes to run weapons like the Urban MDR, they've got a nice Sentry's Call setup, but you're just missing a chest piece. This one is pretty good. I would pick it up if I didn't have it. Well, and the DZ funds if I was on this character. Anyways, grab this one, guys, if you need it.
You might regret not buying.
Okay, at the DZ08 safe room, he has a Pretty good enduring mask for sale. 1244 firearms, 9% EDR, and 9% damage to elites. So you could leave the 1244 firearms as is, keep the mask actually as is to be honest, or reroll the major attribute for enemy armor damage, and you have a really nice enduring mask.
Attention. Nearby supply drop has been claimed by another agent.
Okay, and for our final stop of the week, I'm up here at the DZ09 safe house. Sadly, there's nothing here at all even worth showing you, so you know what? This wasn't the greatest week for us here in the division. Last week was much better in my opinion, but hopefully next week we will get some better items for sale. Hopefully some of the things that I mentioned helped some of you guys out, especially the new players also that have just joined the division. Regardless, if it was helpful, please drop the video a like. I do appreciate it very much, and it is helpful. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are new for more division content. I do put the vendor reset videos out every single week. I'm usually one of the first people to get these out, and it saves you guys all of the time from going to each location on the map. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Afflicted Gamer, and the stream times, once again for me to be live here on YouTube, are at the end of the video. Always go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you guys very soon in the next video.